Pluto is leaving Capricorn and moving into Aquarius for good. Well, at least until March 8th of 2043. On November 19th, this is when this transition happens. It is going to be a big deal for humanity and a big deal for each of us on an individual level. I find it very interesting that Pluto was discovered around the same time that psychology became a field of practice and study in the 1930s. And Pluto is our very psychological based planet. So I want to talk a lot about that in this video. And when Pluto was discovered, it is thought that Pluto, because it has such a wonky orbit, just started migrating closer and closer to our sun with the shape of its orbit and the magnetic draw towards our sun. I'm not an astronomer. I wish I was. So if anyone wants to add detail to that in the comments, please do. It's suspected that maybe Pluto will, just as it came into our solar system, might one day leave our solar system. And that I found very curious. Just thinking about how the psychological focus that we have on what it means to be human and what it means to have a damaged psychology or a healthy psychology, that could probably just be a phase of our evolution. And then once we have mastered it, that and Pluto will disappear. But that could be when humanity isn't even on this planet anymore. So back to this video, I am going to focus on the impact of Pluto and psychology and the connections between the two. Here we go. This is the meat and potatoes of what this Pluto transit could bring, could feel like, and really why it is going to matter to all of us. In my experience, Pluto can tear apart and completely transform our physical worlds around us, but the point is to deeply change our psychology. It is becoming something that is a lot more talked about now, with trying to consciously change the programming that we were built with from our parents' parents, and so on. It goes quite far back. We are genetically and conditionally, with innate and learned ways, our families. And it is really hard to change the deep programming of our nervous system. But here comes Pluto in Aquarius, and Aquarius rules the nervous system. Aquarius is a network without a center. I see this applying to our social structures in a way that we are going to redo how we connect with one another. I think I talked about this a lot in the last video, but I really see this being, as a collective, more of a migration towards a telepathic way of connecting and experiencing each other. But before we do that, we really need to clean up what's on the inside. And I don't want to say clean up like it's a big mess, but what if somebody could hear your thoughts every single day? What would they hear? Would you want them to hear what goes on inside your head every single day? If we are going to become that in tune with one another, that we already are. I want to put that out there. So we can already sense and feel everybody around us. We just don't understand it. I love thinking about Christopher Columbus coming into America. I don't know how many years or months it was that the ship was coming into land, but the natives didn't see it until it was quite close, because they didn't actually even know what they were looking for. And it's like that. We just don't have a language for it. We don't know what we're looking for, but we're feeling it anyway, and it's causing distress. The more that we sort through our own feelings on the inside and understand other people's feelings on the outside, that's why I love astrology. When we start to be in tune with more of these subtle feelings, we just start to pick up on more of it. So, backing up again, if we are going to continue to be open to everybody's energy and understand to a deeper level what's going on energetically in another person and ourselves, we need to transform some of the false narratives and dialogue that roll around in our heads every day that waste energy and waste time. I catch myself doing this all the time. It's a thought that I don't believe in. It's a thought that I probably heard 100 times growing up. And sometimes it just invades my brain and I throw it out right away. And I'm like, that's not us. That's not me. That's not what I am actually thinking in this moment. Why is it still creeping into my head? So I think about it as efficiency. We're going to start becoming more efficient with connecting with one another and more efficient with making sure that what's going on inside of us energetically is enjoyable, true, applicable for the moment, useful, and maybe in an ideal world has the potential to bring us to a more elevated and uplifted overall human experience. But there is a lot that probably needs to change for that to happen. What Pluto does is it takes us into the underworld. It takes us into the darkness that we don't see and that we don't even want to look at. And it goes down with us. It holds our hand. It actually forces us. It might actually take our heads and shove it down into the underworld. And that can be an uncomfortable process. You know, I make jokes and I make light of things, but I know a lot of people are really suffering and a lot of people are going through difficult Pluto challenges. I myself have just had Pluto conjunct my Mars essentially on and off since 2021. I started to feel it. I'm starting to feel the invitation that it's lifting. It's basically conjunct or squared every single planet in my birth chart. So I like to talk about Pluto. I actually probably couldn't really talk about it for the last couple of years because the Pluto conjunct my Mars was such a destructive one, but probably the most rewarding. They were all hard though. And I find it very interesting to have gone through so much Pluto as somebody who's always been drawn to astrology, and I'm really excited to be on the other side of it and talk about Pluto here today. I wanted to add that part because when I do make light of Pluto, I don't want anybody to think that it's because I really think that Pluto is laughable, because at times it's not. But it really does promise a lot of change. And when you deal with the pain that's been running the show anyway, and you realize it's another thing with Pluto, they say, is that you stare your biggest fears in the face and you realize that you actually have nothing to be afraid of. And I don't think that that's a one-time thing or that even that is a 3-year thing. I think that life has a way of bringing up new challenges all the time. And so the better we get at exercising that muscle of facing fears and diving into the painful stuff and realizing that that's the process to make things not so scary after all. The hardest part is that it's not about anybody else's journey, even if it feels like the outside circumstances are what made everything so heavy and so difficult. That too is a very unfair and awful part of life. It's just the recipe and the ingredients that we need to be able to have an experience that is so challenging and so difficult that we are forced to work out and exercise like we have never before. And then we end up getting the results. And it's because we worked so hard at that experience that was so awful that strength that's developed gets to be applied to all the other little things in life. And then you have this tool to apply on a day-to-day basis with the little stuff. The little stuff that just piled up before, that we just turned a blind eye to and said, nah, just going to rise above that today, not going to deal with that today. But it went down somewhere, and then the 10th time something triggers your nervous system, it is a full-blown panic attack that you can't even do basic stuff that you used to think was no problem. So that's a lot, but I hope that it helps conceptualize the why. I'm a person that always needs to know why. I hope that every step along the way, we can talk more about this Pluto experience, and it's going to show us all new things throughout this Aquarius experience, because Aquarius is all about what's new and innovative, and it's going to work with the past. Capricorn, when Pluto was in Capricorn, this was more about being aware of what was in the past. And that has its own level of pain, because just looking at what was in the past without really having the tools to deal with it. But with Aquarius, here come the tools. And because it's Aquarius, I think some of these tools could be things that haven't even been invented yet. I think we're going to look back 20 years from now and be pretty blown away at everything that's been created and everything that's changed. The most significant transit hitting Pluto when it moves into Aquarius is an opposition from Mars. This has been going on since October. It is going to peak again on December 31st, New Year's Eve, January 1st, and this time it'll be in Aquarius and Leo. Now, what this tension of opposition speaks to me is that when it was in Cancer, we were facing the dark side, the shadow work around family structures and family systems, and realizing what we want to change about that. Behavior from people that or from ourselves that we would rather not see could become more apparent. And now in this Leo and Aquarius axis, Mars in Leo is going to be wanting more of an authentic expression of who we are. Not this just habitual model that we adopted from our family systems, but what does it mean to be truly authentic? What does it mean to be ourselves? And not in a way that Leo can sometimes be boisterous and overcompensating for also a lack of self. So really questions around authentic self, and a Pluto opposition is going to help us get into the core of our energetic beings and purge anything that is getting in the way of being as authentic as possible. And then Mars will move back into Cancer. That will be early 2025, February, March. And that is going to be when we have more to give, and we have more action to take when it comes to how we want to shift our family dynamics, how we want to nurture ourselves and other people, and how we would like to shift the energy for the families that we are creating ourselves. So much to talk about with Pluto, and I am looking forward to breaking down this journey as we watch Pluto move through a whole new sign. Thank you so much for watching and being here, and I hope that your journey is transformative in all the most beautiful ways, and the beautiful challenges too. If you want to see more videos like this, hit that like and subscribe button and the notification bell. I look forward to chatting with you next time. Now let's get into your sign. Hi Libra. Pluto is moving into your 5th house. So this is a total transformation in joy, your self-expression. This is a really big deal for you feeling authentic and like you can really express yourself, which is going to add to your creativity. This could be transformation when it comes to children. This can be a transformation mostly when it comes to how you enjoy yourself. This is not a bad place to have Pluto. Mars in your 11th and 10th house right now, opposing Pluto, means that it could be you could be receiving some tension from your social families, your social networks. Those are where more of the conflicts might show up that start to show you where you want to make changes when it comes to how you have fun and maybe who you have fun with. Especially as Venus travels through there, this can relate to how you date. The 5th house is the house of infatuation. So this is where dating is in the drunken love state. This can create big transformations when it comes to that. What that means is that whatever transformation we're going through, we are going to face that exact situation more. For you, Libra, you have just finished eclipses on your axis of self and other, so you are already going through big transformations when it comes to relationships. This is going to add a big layer. And for those of you having children, it's interesting and fitting that Pluto is an 18-year journey. So this could just be that children are going to be part of the transformation of fun and joy for you. And that in and of itself can, but Pluto does rule birth and death and those transformations in life that are beautiful and painful, like childbirth. Maybe you will have a lot more fun in this process and you'll burn through ways of having fun that you thought were fun and then realize that that's going to be completely transformed. So look for those areas of your life to be highlighted, Libra, and I look forward to seeing you every step of the way as we chat more about Pluto and everything else that happens in the next 18 years. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time. For you, Scorpio, Pluto is in your 4th house. This is especially true for you, that it's going to be about your family and your upbringing and your internal world. Complete transformation. It might be career and your spiritual beliefs, perhaps even travel, that are the beginnings of this, of what triggered Pluto with the Mars opposition that's happening. That'll be in your 10th house in Leo and your 9th house in Cancer. Mars in the 9th house in Cancer really speaks to the cultural beliefs of your upbringing, spiritual beliefs, what was passed down to you about religion, and what was passed down to you about being open-minded to other cultures. That's an important one that will probably help you during the Mars in Cancer period. While Mars is in Leo, this is about your public image and the truth and authenticity of the reputation that you put into your career. How do you feel when you are public speaking or out in public or going for an interview, or any time that you are in a bit of a higher pressure situation at work? What agitation and anxiety shows up in your nervous system, and how is that connected to the way that you were taught to feel about high pressured situations? I mean, you are used to having Aquarius in the 4th house, so when transits come through there or activate points there, and depending on where your personal planets are, you are one of the signs that could feel generally sensitive to anxiety and hypersensitivity within your nervous system. Pluto can make that more intense at times, and this is going to depend on everybody's personal chart, but just keep in mind that in those moments where that intensity comes on, that is designed to be an opportunity where you will find new resources, you'll find new things that work, and you'll find new ways that soothe that internal world. And in 18 years, even though that seems like a really long time, in the whole span of our lives, if we're lucky, it's a small chunk, and you are going to be so grateful for the peace and tranquility and the intelligence that your nervous system is going to have after this cycle. Thank you so much for being here, Scorpio. I will see you next time. Hi, Sag. This is a 3rd house transit for you with Pluto. So this is all about your communication, your writing, your close relatives, siblings, neighbors, people in close proximity, and transportation or short distance travel. But the 3rd house, when it comes to energy and psychology, that's a communication house. That is how you turn your ideas into words, and it's more the practical use of words. So this could be a phase where you are really in tune with the language that you use and why, and doing a deep dive on maybe some of the words that just come out without thinking about them too much, that have been automatic and passed down, and just how your family speaks. So that's how you speak. Or writing that is about psychology, deeply transformational. A lot of Sag risings are drawn to seeking different spiritual understandings and being a teacher in this lifetime in a spiritual capacity. So if that's the case, it could be that you are putting a lot of work into writing, and media is covered here too. Learning how to create media and reach an audience could be a piece of it. Now, the challenges in this Mars opposition are coming from your 8th house and your 9th house. So having Leo in your 9th house means that there could be something that needs deepening in authenticity when it comes to how you teach or any spiritual teachers that you have in your life. It's probably going to be both. It will be that you will see things in other teachers that you like or dislike, or help you see parts of yourself that you would like to be different. And it's going to come down, I think, to feeling authentic, being authentic, because the internet has changed things about how broad and inclusive putting material out into the world is. There are a lot of different approaches and a lot of different people that seem to be doing things out of a recipe. And I think that Pluto in the 3rd house for you is going to be making sure that you're not doing anything based on a recipe, and you're going over any psychological blockages or any automatic tendencies you have that will be cleared out for that. Let me know what kind of projects you're working on, Sag. I think this is a great house to host Pluto. I was too young to remember Pluto in my 3rd house, but yeah, let me know in the comments how that shows up for you. And then when Mars is in your 8th house in Leo, that is going to be more about psychological clearing, and that's going to have more to do with your family. There could be big changes in the support you get from others, or your partner, your significant partner's support that they offer to you, that could provoke some of the psychological things that you need to look at with Pluto starting this Aquarius transit. So think about that as some of the situations come up that either have to do with your teachers, the teaching you're doing, the beliefs that you let yourself, the foreign beliefs and concepts that you allow into your mind and thought process, and some of the more challenging experiences or the support that you get from family members or don't get, or significant others. These all speak to bringing up something within your psychology that you can see differently and manage differently moving forward. I hope it goes really well for you, Sag. Thank you so much for being here. Keep me posted every step of the way, and I'll see you next time. Capricorn. Let bygones be bygones. Bye-bye, Pluto in Capricorn. But not so fast. Now you have Pluto in the 2nd house. It won't be as challenging as it has been for some people with heavy Capricorn placements, unless you have heavy Aquarius placements. Even so, Pluto in Capricorn, I think overall, is a more challenging energy than Pluto in Aquarius. Like I touched on in the intro, Pluto in Aquarius has the promise to be more innovative, where Pluto in Capricorn was just turning up heavy stones. But what does this mean? So Pluto in your 2nd house is about what you value, what you spend your money on, how you nourish your body, the foods you eat, the worth that you embody in yourself. And our energetic worth, how much energy we spend with other people and give back to ourselves, all has to do with the assets and personal belongings around us. And it's very similar to the foods that we eat. So if your energy is stressed and frazzled or depressed, the quality of foods that we choose are often different than the quality of foods we choose when we're feeling amazing and happy. So the way I like to talk about the 2nd house is more about from the energetic perspective. This is going to be about how much you give versus how much you receive. Capricorns, I think, have a tendency to do what they need to do. They're very smart when it comes to getting things done, progress, work. But there can be some blockages to authentic connection. And that comes from a bit of a gap in thinking that work is the most important thing, and success and achievement, and that creates security, and then you can just rest. This second house is going to be more about realizing that the energy that you spend and take in is the most important part. And I think this is wonderful news for Capricorn, because Capricorns can be the sign that is thought to be broody and depressed because it tends to energetically deplete itself and then not be able to replenish. So this is a transit where you will learn to replenish, and your assets will flourish and your health will flourish because you're ingesting foods that are really good for you. You're going to be ingesting in a way that's really good for you because you're going to be taking in energy and digesting energy differently. And that's one of the things with digestive problems and food related stuff, is that it's the quality of the energy that we are in when we're taking things in that matters about how it's digested. And that's what matters with energetic connection from other people too. And when Pluto first goes into Aquarius, it is going to get this opposition from Mars in Leo in your 8th house of support from other people. So right off the bat, you are going to get an experience where somebody else's support is either taken away, or there's more focus and motivation and passion to connect and build intimacy with another person. And it's that desire for connection and support that is going to help kickstart the work, help motivate this Pluto to get going and start it along its journey. When Mars goes back into Cancer, that's going to be your partnerships. And that again is going to be about balancing this give and take of energy with yourself and another person. And when Mars is involved, it is either passion, frustration, anger, motivation, initiation, conflict, heat. It is both the good and the challenging parts of striking a match, lighting things on fire. Striking the match, it's like that initiating part of what could be a bigger fire. Think about that with situations that come up, and the context of Pluto is going to help show you where there are psychological blockages that are preventing you from having this really lovely give and take of energy between yourself and other people. And that ultimately will help your assets and those material comforts as well. So that really speaks to a Capricorn, to have that, because you're an earth sign, that practical security piece too. Enjoy this new phase. Big, huge congratulations to the Capricorns out there for a big transformation that you've already done. This one's exciting. I think this is going to feel more like the rewards for everything that you had ripped apart about your being since 2008. I hope you have a little way to celebrate for yourself and throw yourself a party on November 19th. I know I sure will. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Aquarius, get ready. This is a big one, and this is a transit that is going to purge anything in your physical being, in your way of moving through life, the tools that you have to get to the places you want to get to in life. This is going to transform all of that. It's probably going to transform some of what you are all about, what you thought your life was going to, the things that you thought were most important in life, what you thought the direction you were going in life was. Maybe even some of the skills and resources and ways and tools that you have to accomplish things in life. Now, with Mars moving through Leo, this is happening in your 7th house of partnerships. So this kickoff that's happening with Mars activating Pluto right after the get-go, this activation is very likely coming from a significant person in your life. The 7th house is partners romantic partners, marriage partners, contract partners, and sometimes it is people that we have soul contracts with. These are usually people that come into our lives that we have a very strong attraction to. They can be friends, they can be lovers, they can come in any form. There are often experiences with these individuals that shape our lives and change our perspectives of ourselves. And that's what you are going to be going through in a way that helps you reflect on what is authentic in another person. What are some of the qualities that matter to you in a partner that is trustworthy and honest and being expressive, but being expressive in a way that really suits your needs and what you value? Because as an Aquarius, you have a pretty strong moral code and your values are something that are important to you, and that you also are one of the signs that doesn't shift for other people in those things that really matter to you very easily. Aquarians are often self-assured, they know what they like, they know what they want, they're less concerned with other people's opinions than some of the other signs, and that is a quality that makes you authentic. How does that balance out in your partnerships? And where does your family upbringing influence some of these patterns that you see in your dynamics of how you relate to yourself and how you relate to other people and how you relate to yourself and another within a connection and a relationship? Where is the balance, give and take? Especially if you are when people are both being very strong in their sense of self and assertive in their values and what they need. What if they don't align? And then how do you find that middle ground? These are some of the things that are going to start to transform you and transform your relationships. The activation of Mars in Cancer is more about the nurturing you give yourself and the habits, your daily habits, the way you get things done, how you go about your day-to-day life. Your ways of doing things throughout the day could be strongly influenced by your family upbringing. And this is an opportunity where you have been working on really shifting that. And that might be something that is clicking into place and you're feeling more solid in the new routines and the new habits and ways of getting things done. Now it is a complete transformation of self, and there are going to be lots of transits along the way that activate Pluto in different ways. This is just the first one, and I hope that the beginning of this journey is a really fun and special one for you, especially on New Year's Eve when you have this Mars opposition. Let me know in the comments below how things are going and especially what happens around that night. We'll have to do another video and open chat to see what comes of this next Pluto-Mars opposition. Have a wonderful end of the year, and I will see you next time. Pisces, Pluto is in your 12th house. As if Pisces couldn't become more Piscean and more intuitive and clairvoyant and connected to everything with your nervous system. I think Pluto is about to burst that open in ways that, well, I guess we'll see in 20 years' time, but it's really fascinating to me that Pisces are the sign that are getting this 12th house journey right now. At a time when everybody is going to be getting a boost of nervous system sensitivity and opening up to the world in perceiving the world through our senses in different ways than we are used to. And you are probably going to be one of the leaders in this process because you're starting off with a high level of sensitivity in your nervous system. What could happen with Pluto here is that this could be a time where in the process of expanding this awareness of your subconscious and into the unseen realm, then there might be a layer of a learning curve with some of the shadow and darker entities. It's learning how to manage those that creates more room for expansion and more freedom to play and explore in that realm because you know how to handle everything that you're going to face as you expand in that way. It doesn't have to have energetic experience for everybody, but for Pisces, I think a lot of you are ready for that, and that is how it'll show up. It could also have to do with overseas places with the 12th house, oceans, prisons, hospitals, anything that is separate from society. Maybe some of you are going to be separate from society in some way, that you are not working and contributing in that typical way that things function. And it is said that if you have a strong 12th house experience where you have an incarnation where a chunk of this incarnation or the whole thing is somewhat disconnected from society, this can sometimes be a protective mechanism for a soul who has had a lot of experience, perhaps had a lot of experience here on Earth, and the separation is a way of protecting you from more karma. So you're here more as a support network to other people, and not necessarily to get entangled in regular society to incur more karma, but it's like a break cycle before you come back into your next existence, whatever that is. And I think that makes sense for a lot of Pisces, that there's such strong intuition and connection to all realms that they often need a lot of rest. This can just be the house of rest. But keep that in mind if you feel like you've had an abnormal amount of forced rest in your life, or breaks, or you just feel like your life is a little bit different and separate than everybody else's. It could be a rest lifetime, and that is also really important. It's something that we don't place enough value on, and I think that there's starting to be a lot more talk about how important rest is and how much more we can get done after a good rest period. That the more rest we have, it actually feeds our productivity. And that's what I see in astrology with the 6th and 12th house, is that in order to balance these out, we need a lot of rest and adequate work. The more rest we have, the more efficient our work can be, and the better our health is, and all of those things that feed into that 6th and 12th house axis of being involved in the world, being of service, and being in your rest phase. There could be, with Mars opposing Pluto from your 6th house, there could be a drive to work more, a feeling of needing to be more efficient and organize your daily life. Mars will retrograde though, and when it retrogrades, you can feel a lack of motivation in that part of your life. So that might be part of some rest period, but you might feel this tension and push and pull between needing to work and be of service and be productive, and actually needing to rest. Mars in the 6th house can also create health issues that are more inflammatory, especially of the small intestine. So that could be another way that Mars expresses itself, especially when it's retrograde and it's not working at its best in ways that it expresses in the material world. And when Mars goes back into Cancer, that is going to be about the nurturing again. And that's going to be nurturing yourself to get that more authentic expression of yourself. I think that goes really well with the rest and retreat portion, in that nurturing as a way of having fun is a great way to rest. Pisces, I hope that this is a wonderful experience for you, having Pluto in your 12th house. Let me know how things are going in the comments below. And as always, if you would like to process more with a personal reading with me, check out my website link in the description below. And I will see you next time. Hi, Aries. Pluto in your 11th house. Well, this is all about community, networks, friends. These are your allies in life, people that are here to support you. So it can be clients and an audience if you have that. But it is people who are connected to us in the broader sense, communities that you are a part of. With Pluto here, you could start to see areas where there are power struggles and some of the shadow or darker aspects of humans and our psychology, and how that comes about in a group setting. Just as an example, one of the things that comes to mind is groups, especially because this is Aquarius. These could be groups that are new as far as what society is used to experiencing. Something like polyamory, for example, or bigger collectives. There are more people living in communal living now, and collectives again, and we're testing out different levels of pressure when we rely on other people. And sometimes we have to slip into what doesn't work to figure out what does work. So in the case of polyamorous communities, it's one of the things that we don't, it's very new how to have conversations that are open and honest, and how much openness and honesty, and it's different for everybody. So we're really writing the book right now and healing potentially different parts of what has not worked in the past for relationships. So whether that is something that you are interested in or not, it just came to mind as an example, because that is the area where when we're trying something new, it's an opportunity for failure, and it's an opportunity to bring that into our awareness and talk about it and figure out a solution. And it's in that process that we actually evolve and figure out how to work as a system, how to work as a collective and a connected unit. But we don't do that by just keeping everything inside and brushing over the things that bother us and that are not working. We need to get in the mud. We need to address it. And that is the beautiful process that you are about to embark on. In the beginning, with this Mars opposition hitting a big activation to this Pluto, Mars is in your 5th house, and that is about your unique self-expression. The 5th house can rule sex, pleasure, children, hobbies, creative energy. And this is that inner joy that we have when we're connected to ourselves and we're doing something that's why creativity and children are part of this. It's our authentic expression of what is on the inside. So with Mars here, which is your ruler, you're going to be feeling extra motivated to be in that space. And you're also, with Pluto in Aquarius, you are not going to want to have other people dampen your flame or try to put you in a box. You're going to want to play and be an Aries and have fun and do what you do best, because you are one of the signs that is a leader in that department. So you're going to be going back over what's important to you when it comes to passion and fun, and it's going to have to do with these communities and these networks. There are going to be challenges that make you question what really matters in these 2 areas of life: the people you're connected to and the way that you can be uniquely you and have fun and express that. This is a pretty okay place to have these placements. So I think you are going to be one of the signs that enjoys the journey that much more. Let me know how things are going in the comments below, and thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next time. Hi, Taurus. Well, Pluto in the 10th house. This is an interesting one. The 10th house is your public image, your career, your reputation, your status. This is how other people in the world see you. And you are going to go through a complete transformation in this area of your life. When it comes to how people see you, Taurus, you have Aquarius in the 10th house, and Aquarius is an energy of dancing to the beat of your own drum and doing as you please and not caring so much about how you come across to other people or other people's opinions of you. Of course, everybody's chart will be different and it'll look different and give you a different blend of qualities, but this is one piece of Taurus. It's very curious to see how this will go. It could just be a complete transformation of career, but it's 20 years, so that's not unexpected. You might be in the type of career that is creating a lot of transformational change for the world. And you might be one of the people that is creating revolutionary products, and you might get a reputation for that. This Mars activation in the opposition that we're kicking off with is happening in your fourth house of home and family. So there could be more passion around being at home. Maybe you are creating a career for yourself where you get to be at home more. You might have conflict and agitation to do with your home, whether that's your internal world, the place you grew up, your home life at the moment, your actual home. These things are going to challenge and create a tension line of opposition to Pluto in your 10th house. So the topics are tied together at the end of the year, and maybe you're expanding your family and your career needs to change. It also is going to have a lot to do with identity. If you are becoming a dad, then that means your status is changing. Your identity as a father is going to be something that you're going to be thinking about. Now, that's just one physical manifestation. And when it comes to the energy of the planets, there are so many manifestations that can happen. But that's just one example that comes to mind to help you apply what this energy could look like for you. When it comes to reputation, you could be getting a taste of the dark side of what it's like to be in the public image, what it means to be seen by the world and the pressures that that entails as far as a responsibility of how you come across in your persona. And that's what Mars can do in the fourth house too, is that's your inner world. And it could be a battle of what you express that is authentic and true and actually what's going on inside, but it needs to project into something that's appropriate for the world, for a career reputation. That is a challenging dichotomy right there. Because how do you be as authentic as possible when it's in the workplace and it's when we are being seen by the public that we need a persona? So that's something that could be changing over the next 20 years. Maybe work personas and our professional disposition in the position of a career is going to completely change. Maybe we're, as a society and as a collective, we are going to decide that we would rather have something real than what we have decided is professional, and everybody wears khakis on a Fridays, it's casual Fridays, and suit and tie to meetings. And why do we really do that? I think that it's to show our skill, that we fit in the role that we are in. So whether it's a shirt and tie or whatever your persona may be, what we're shifting to now is understanding through feeling and seeing people that they are qualified. It really matters more what's on the inside and how we handle people, how we handle communication, the energy that we give off. Are we acting in a way that is power hungry and manipulative and trying to climb the ladder for the sake of success? Or do we have an internal intention of helping other people, being there for the greater good, and expressing something that is real and actually matters? So I think that's a big part of the story for you, Taurus, is that we are ripping away expressions that are a superficial layer of trying to show that we are a competent, amazing human being, when really it's the actual detail and the work and the energy that we express that's important. Let me know how this is playing out for you, Taurus. Definitely a neat one with reputation and your inner world. And when it's happening on the axis, so in astrology, the 4th and 10th house run up and down the middle, the 1st and 7th are across. And those are the 4 pillars of the main energy. So when we have transits to those quadrants, they can be even that more potent, especially as Pluto is just going to be right on the cusp of that angle, which is an important placement. So very powerful, especially with this Mars opposition activation, and it's in the core of your being, Taurus. So enjoy, and thank you so much for being here. I will see you next time. Gemini, you have Pluto in the 9th house. This is going to completely transform the way that you view the world, your spiritual beliefs, maybe becoming a teacher yourself, maybe finding teachers along the way that help you completely shift your perspectives. This is an area where you are going to be exposed to a lot of foreign places and foreign concepts that help you expand your perception and how you view things. So you could find yourself a lot more curious about spiritual practices around the world, about astrology, shamanism. You could start to practice some yourself, and like I said, become a teacher. If you are in publishing of any kind or academia, this is also a house that covers higher education, and you could just be on a 20-year journey of embarking school, which would be a very long journey, but some people do it. And maybe you're becoming a professor or writing and publishing of some sort because of this Mars opposition in your 3rd house, this activation, this big fiery activation that we have on December 31st, but we're going to feel it for a few weeks before and a few weeks after. This is the house of communication and writing for you. Also siblings, neighbors, cousins, close relatives, short distance travel, and transportation. If you do a lot of short distance travel, you could experience some frustrations and delays with that. But I like to stick more to the energetic manifestation, and I think communication is a big piece of that. So right now you are revising what is motivating for you when it comes to your communication and how you express yourself. Is it well received? Maybe you're learning a new language. When Mars retrogrades on December 6th, you could feel a little more sluggish and less motivated, or it's just more challenging to get forward momentum, but that will shift. And in 2025, when Mars goes direct, that decrease of emphasis on this part of your chart, the 3rd house of writing, or struggling to move forward, is actually what will catapult you to have a surge of energy to get where you want to go. If it has to do with writing or communication project, maybe you get a bit of writer's block, and then when Mars goes direct, you're ready for the races, as they say. So don't sweat it if you start to feel that lack of passion and lack of productivity in that department. I like to look at it like a slingshot. When you pull it back, it launches that much further. And I've experienced that the last time Mars went retrograde a couple of years ago. Maybe you end up getting frustrated with the writer's block or the communication challenges, and that's what motivates you to get into a new form of education. Or you are just going back over work and writing projects, and when Mars goes direct, you might be ready for a publication of some kind, and that might initiate a trajectory of more publications and more writing. You don't have to get published for this to really activate your belief systems and the way that you communicate in the world. Those are the big themes, Gemini. I hope you are doing really well. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Cancer. Pluto is moving into your 8th house. It is finally out of your partnership house, the 7th house, and the 8th house now. It is about your deep, intimate connections, what intimacy really means to you. It can cover pregnancy, it can cover death, birth, rebirth, other people's resources, support from a significant partner. It is considered a financial house, so it is considered that house where you receive income or support from your partner's income. I like to think about it as an energetic exchange between people. And that is why intimacy is covered here too, because it is about a give and take. And if you are being financially supported by your partner, there's a strong chance that there's energy that you have put into that relationship towards them too. What the learning curve here is figuring out the energy part. What does it feel like to exchange energy with another person? What does it feel like to have that be balanced and trusting and truthful and safe and secure? And what does it mean to find all of those things amidst the shadow sides of ourselves and of humanity too? Because we all have that. And that is one of the pieces that when you are deepening a relationship, those will come out. And it is about figuring out how to, well, you're a Cancer, so it is about figuring out how to nurture that part of ourselves and other people. Even the ones that we wish didn't exist. They all come from a place of protection at some point. They are like protective mechanism reflexes when we act in ways that maybe are not as optimal as they could be, but it's a knee-jerk reaction to protecting a piece of ourselves that was hurt or vulnerable at one point. And deepening a relationship means walking through those pieces together and figuring out what works for both of you, figuring out a nurturing space. And when the energy exchange is really healthy with us and another person, or with us, because the second house, where Mars is and going to be activating this Pluto by opposition, the second house for you is about your energy, your resources, where you put them, how you spend energy, how you invest money, how you manage the resources that you have, your assets and belongings, and the way that you take care of your body, the foods that you eat. So this is energy in, energy out, but this is more about your personal system. And then it's going to be connecting it to Pluto in the 8th house of the system with another. So Mars in your second house of your personal energy balance system means that you are feeling really motivated to balance that energy in yourself. When someone else comes along, things can get a little wonky at first because you're used to stabilizing your own energy on your own. But when someone else comes into the picture, you have to figure out a new balance in that dynamic. Trying to do a little figure eight here. Yeah, a figure eight is a good image. So you're just spinning as a spiral on your own. They are too. And then you have to figure out how to do that spiral and figure eight together. And at first, it's a little bit of a dance. So you might feel frustrated about losing some of your energy in the beginning. It's when we get uncomfortable and frustrated with what isn't working that we find what really does. So be patient with yourself and your partner or whoever this is involved with as you navigate that dance back and forth. You will have a big moment on December 31st where this is activated and gives you a lot of information of how you're going to move forward for the next year or so, probably. I hope that this energy balance goes really well for you, Cancer. I think you are going to have a much easier time with this transit than you had since 2008 when Pluto is in your 7th house. What you have taken away from partnership lessons since 2008 are the fuel that is supporting this transit now until 2043. So you have a lot of what it takes. I hope the next months are smooth and lovely and go really well for you, Cancer. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time.
Hi, Leo. Pluto is now in your 7th house. This is all about partnerships for you. You are completely transforming in how you operate with self and other. And it's self that is going to be doing this activation of the Pluto with the Mars-Pluto opposition from Leo, your sign. There's a chance with Mars and Leo that you could feel more agitated, more frustrated, more motivated, more inspired, more excited. If Leo is your rising sign, with Mars in the first house, there can be sometimes accidents from rushing and moving too quickly. It is a great time to move and exercise and funnel that Mars energy through your body. But it is also a time when emotions are more activated, that it's a great time to look into the root of some of the anger and what is the frustration or the motivation. What is the intensity all about? It could be that you're really driven to change some things about yourself. And while Mars is retrograde starting on December 6th, you might feel a little more pushback and sluggish in the plans that you would like to see unfold, maybe that you're getting really excited about right now. Don't worry if that's the case. This is a purposeful slowdown to make you question more about your passion and your motivation and understand what Mars is trying to activate in you. It could be more about your ability to assert yourself and show who you are and show your creative side. Maybe you're feeling like you're just bursting at the seams and you want to express. And there's a chance that that could be exactly what activates something with a partner. Maybe you start to see that partner is showing jealousy or control or manipulation. It doesn't have to be any of those things, and it doesn't have to be so dark and heavy, but with Pluto, there's a chance that it is. And it's not just to see the worst in other people, which I don't like even saying that because that's not what it's all about. It's more about understanding the complexity of how we develop a personality, how we develop psychologically, and how we develop into these pre-programmed beings, but what we can do with knowledge to change some of that programming and bring a sense of acknowledgement to the situation with gentleness and compassion, because everybody has been hurt at some point in their lives and everybody has learned how to protect themselves and react. You can expect this Pluto journey to be all about those things, but it really can come up in any way when it comes to yourself and how you relate to another person, your romantic relationships, your marriage commitments, your work, business partners, maybe even karmic partners. When it comes to the 7th house, you might have people that you have a very strong attraction to come in and out of your life, and they are here to show you different reflections and experiences so that you can understand more about yourself. And with this energy, understand more about yourself and how you relate to another person. The benefit of all of this is that you are going to completely transform how you relate in partnerships. And that means you will feel more empowered by being able to share energy with another person rather than have any imbalances in that energy exchange. And that sounds like a wonderful, healthy, lovely relationship to be in. So enjoy this transit, Leo. Thank you so much for being here. If you would like to process more with a personal reading with me, check out my website, link in the description below, for live Zoom readings, and I will see you next time. Hi, Virgo. Pluto is moving into your 6th house. Well, this is going to completely transform what you do on a day-to-day basis, your habits, your routines, how you go about life, your productivity. This can also be health matters. With this Mars activation, this is happening in your 12th house, this opposition between Mars and Pluto. And Mars is going to bring a surge of energy in this opposition to Pluto. This is coming from your 12th house. So this could be a surge of connection to the unseen realms, psychic energy, stronger intuition, stronger connection to your subconscious, stronger connection to creativity and art. This part of the chart rules oceans and places separate from society, faraway lands, hospitals, prisons. Now the energy, what it really means is in the 12th house is separate from society. and service to society, integrated in society and resting and isolated from society. So you are going to be balancing that axis of sometimes it's the inner world of being in a physical human body and the ethereal world of being out there in the ether and connecting with energy and things that are unseen by our typical human eyes. But ultimately the energy is about action and rest. And it can be work-related action too. So this could be an energy where you are starting to use more of your intuition for work, but you're learning that it's the rest and the time and the retreat to gather the right knowledge and get in the right energetic space yourself, that the work ends up being that much more efficient and easy and important, applicable. It has more purpose and you can just do that much more. I am talking to a Virgo. When it comes to Virgo energy, you are the 6th house energy. You are work and service and health and diligence and detail and organization. And a lot of Virgos are in an energy of constant spinning and productivity and adrenaline and sometimes anxiety and health issues because there's this constant push to do. That is in part because of the world that we live in, the way that we were raised, the way that is what creates security. But in some ways it's a false security. So you are going to be potentially completely changing what you do on a day-to-day basis, what you do for work. Pluto is here to turn that upside down in some way. This could also be that you are seeing some of the dark side in that approach when it comes to the constant go and be as productive as possible and the constant routines and the busyness that happens in the 6th house. That psychologically that can cause more problems than the benefit that happens in the physical practical world. So it just doesn't balance out the scales when it comes to the cost of that kind of life and the success that the productivity brings. It's going to show up differently for each of you, but the details will be different, but the energy and the essence of it will be the same. That's what you can look for. Not a terrible place to have Pluto. I think you are going to be happy to be moving on to this next chapter after having Pluto in your 5th house. But let me know in the comments below how this is going for you, Virgo. And thank you so much for being here. If you would like to book a live Zoom reading with me to process more for your personal chart, check out my website link in the description below, and I will see you next time.